Welcome back to the Hustler Circle, 3 Minds, 1 Mission. This is episode 19, and we have 2 very special guests with us today. We're going to talk about how to build wealth through homeownership, but also better understand the whole buying process from the mortgage broker side, and then a side that a lot of folks don't know, which is the title side. Very, very important to actually be able to own that physical property. So I'm really excited to have Lilianne here today and Beatriz. They come from Empire's Finest and what is
Premier Title.
Yeah, Premier Title. So I'll do it again. I'll do that part again.
No.
Yeah.
No, está bien.
All right, está bien.
Yeah.
So today's episode, we're going to be doing a little bit of a mix. So some answers will be in Spanish for our Spanish viewers who are always asking us for more Spanish content. And some answers will be in Spanglish for those who want to kind of meld the both together. We're actually based in Miami, so trust me, this is normal. I'm really excited to have you both on the episode, so thank you for coming. We're going to go very deep, but also keep it really centered around first and foremost, getting to know you both a little bit better. So we're going to kick off the episode with first welcoming you, and then second, understanding like how you got started in the mortgage space through lending and the title side. Because everybody watching this, they don't want the specifics about like, what's the market rate, all this stuff. Yes, you can do that, but they want to get to know both of you as business owners, how you got started, and then we'll go a little bit deeper from there. Is that okay?
Yes.
Awesome. So welcome.
Thank you so much for having us. We're very happy to be here with you guys.
Yeah.
So my name is Lilianne and I'm with Empire Finance Group.
Yep.
I've been in the business for 5 years plus. And I started working at a bank. So I've always been in the finance field.
Got it.
And after that, I worked for like about 2 or 3 years with my mom in her accounting office.
Okay.
And that's where everything started for me. Since a lot of people will go there and ask for, to file their taxes to buy a property. And that's how it started.
So you realize it's cool because we have guests that come on all the time and they were like, man, I was doing this job and then I realized that I would really liked understanding like why folks did certain things. So on the accounting side, which is I'm finance background. So my background when I got out of college, I went into finance and I realized within like, I lie to you not, no offense to any accountants watching or stuff, that accounting and finance wasn't for me. Yeah. Not because I'm not good at it, because I'm an operator. So like you found in your exposure for those 2 to 3 years that, man, real estate is interesting. A lot of these folks are fixing their taxes so they can have the ability to purchase a home. Exactly. Number one, the income, make sure that all the financials are accurate. So that's cool that like that kind of helped you unlock that part. So like, tell me from that moment that you realized that, and then you decided to shift into the mortgage lending space, like what was that transition like? Probably not easy, but...
It was a smooth transition, to be honest. I mean, I was with my mom in her accounting office. I wasn't doing taxes directly, but I was doing like bookkeeping. But my mom was doing the taxes for everyone that would, go asking to buy a property. And a friend of mine introduced me to this guy that's been in the, in the mortgage industry for many years. And I went to his office and I told him, listen, I just want to learn what this is about and I don't want to get paid, nothing. Like, I just want to learn. And he told me, no, you're crazy, whatever. So he hired me and I started working for him as a loan officer assistant.
Got it. Mm-hmm. That's really cool. I mean, and Dee, we were speaking about this a lot, like, a lot of folks, and I was like this, when I was early in my career, I would do the same thing as you do. I would reach out to people on LinkedIn and be like, look, I just want to learn from you because I admire folks who've scaled something to be this high, and I'm just down here trying to figure out like how you even get started. And you can remove a lot of like the pitfalls in starting your own business or learning about something specifically if you go directly to an expert. And an expert doesn't necessarily mean it's the person who makes the most money in that field.
Of course.
It could be the person who has the most knowledge and could potentially help you see what you can't see, which in the lending and the mortgage space and the real estate space, it seems easy, but when you look at it from the back end, there's a lot of missing parts that you can potentially miss, which we'll talk about the title stuff in a second, that it's all sequential, right? It's, do you have the income? What are you looking for? What do you get a pre-approved for? Is there a property available? get yourself a real good realtor that's going to like value what you need and ensure that they represent you well. And then that's the, I would say, easy part. Then comes you both. And then it becomes like, can we close? What is necessary for close? How much money? Like all these things. And folks don't realize that unless like you did, you almost did an apprenticeship with an expert.
Yeah.
And you got the skill sets that you need. And then now you feel confident to start your own business.
Yes.
Is
No,
that
they
what I'm
already
understanding?
have their location too. And then the other thing is that within the mentorship, that's something that I think gets lost on a lot of people, because at the end of the day, the mentorship that the person or persons are providing you are allowing you to not experience the roadblocks that they had, which is the reason why people pay Chris and I for certain engagements, because you don't have the time, the experience, or even maybe even the starting point of how to get from where you're at to the next phase, right? So putting that time in, having the mentorship, having the discipline, having the understanding that this is a long-term play. Now look at you guys right now, fast forward however many months or years, and you guys have your own office. I've literally visited, I've seen it live. You guys have movement, you guys have great energy in there, and you guys close a lot of clients. You know, I mean, even at the inception of our relationship, it was assisting you guys in very specific movements here and there. But then now, as an example, how many clients have been able to get properties or refinance because of our synergy, right? Like I would say at least over 10 in the last 12 months, or maybe 8 to 10 around there. So it's cool how you see everything come together. And then the cherry on top for me, just from experience and things that I really hold close to my heart, and I talk about on the podcast a lot, is you guys are sisters. You know, like you just met my brother in the other office. He's busting his ass right now. So it's like people have a common narrative of like, it's hard to work with friends. It's even harder to work with family. And I think that that's also something that could be touched on also on this podcast, is that type of relationship that you guys have had and the type of growth that you've been able to do, because I live it with my brother, but then I also see it with you guys as sisters. So obviously kudos to you, but I think that's also something that's a very beautiful thing that is very hard to achieve once you strip the first layer of resistance of whatever narrative is kind of attached to. So what has that kind of been like from where you guys started in terms of where you're at right now? Like, where do you think you're at in terms of working together and growing things?
I think we're never been better. Yeah, I can
That's
say
good.
that. Yes.
Yes.
That's a good way. That's a good way to put
Yes,
it.
like not everybody can say that. Not everybody can get to go to work every day with their sister,
I mean,
and that's so much fun.
And it is fun because you're both feeding off each other and you're growing alongside each other. But you also, the good thing, and I say this to Dimitri, and for me, it's like I get emotional because I was very close to my older brother and he passed away 10 years ago. And I know that he would be working here with us because that's how good of a person he was. But you both can be very raw with your communication with each other. So like partners, like Dimitri, I know Dimitri since he was in high school. So like him and I talk very similarly, and we're very, very similar in certain ways and very different in certain ways. Mm-hmm. But one thing that we're very similar at is that like if I'm frustrated with something, I'm not gonna wait 6 months and then let him know. You get me? Like if there's something that we need to talk about, he'll confront me or I'll confront him. Like if we were brothers versus you get into business with someone else. Yeah, they're cool, all that stuff, but you always have hay una pared, right? And that wall is always there because the trust is built one brick at a time, right? In this case, there's always a wall and you have to remove the bricks to see if the person's doing what they're doing. You guys are meeting the same energy. You don't need that with you both because you've known each other.
And the good thing is like we're in the same industry. We're kind of have like the same business in the same office, but she does her part and I do my part.
Yeah.
Like we kind of had to, work together, and one then depends on the other team, but we're not like on top of each other and on top of that.
I don't get into her business.
Yes.
She doesn't get in my business. Like
It's a real partnership.
Yes,
we talk about things as, she asked me, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? I just give her my intake, what I think about, and she takes it, and maybe she makes a different decision, and I'm like, okay, I respect her side of her business, and she does the same to me.
And it's crazy, right? I'm like, we talk about this all the time. Like you saw Alex, Dimitri's brother, like right now he's on the phone with the credit bureaus, like working for clients who are about to go into funding next week, right? Dimitri obviously meets with the clients ahead of time, gets them, their profile prep, gets them onboarded, and does all that stuff. and then I focus on the funding side, going to the banks, making sure we have the relationships, and also do the finance and the operation stuff for the business. So we each have our silos and areas. Doesn't mean that Dimitri can't do what I do, right? But like, why does he need to do that? Because that's his area of expertise. This is mine. And then we call them center of excellence, right? Your center of excellence is very unique to what Betty's center of excellence is. And I'm like, if you keep that going, you're going to scale to new heights because you're just going to get a mini you under you eventually. You're going to have a mini you under you. And then now you can spend more time attracting more clients.
Yes.
And that's kind of like how the business it will scale to its new heights. So I love your story of how you got started. But Betty, I want to talk to you. Like, what was your journey to get into the title? Because I'm like, for me, that part of the mortgage and the purchasing is probably it's always been the most interesting because it's the most unknown.
Yes.
So tell me like how you even got into the title side.
Honestly,
Yeah.
because my sister told me to.
Oh, there you go.
No, for real. I was a paralegal.
Okay.
So I was in the law field for, I would say, over 5 years. I was doing litigation, so I was planning to go to law school.
Got it.
I was planning to do litigation, commercial litigation. But I just got tired of just fighting the entire time. It's a really stressful environment. I would say, like, everybody, it's always, con la mala cara. Like, they're always, like, super aggressive, so stressed. And I'm like, I can't deal with this anymore. So I always like to deal with paperwork and legal stuff, like processing stuff. So my sister gave me the idea, like, why don't you go into real estate? You can use the knowledge that you already have and then apply it to the field. And eventually we can just, team up.
Yeah.
And it was like a future plan. I got into accounting. It wasn't for me at all.
You're welcome. High five.
But eventually I did like everything. I trained with a friend of mine that she's been like really helpful. She taught me everything I know right now. And so my sister got the opportunity to go by herself. And then at that point, she was like, why don't we start looking for an office so we can both be together?
Yeah.
And then at that point, it became more realistic.
Yeah.
And then, to the point that we are.
That's
right now.
awesome. So again, a real life example. She gave you an idea, but you were doing paralegal work, which, to be honest with you, the title side, it's all legal, right?
Yes.
It's all like
100%.
figuring out, working with the city, understanding are there permits, are all these things situated? Is there any owed money against this, land? Are any liens? Stuff that I'm like, now that I know, I'm like, yeah, of course. Yeah. But like people who are watching this, maybe first time home buyers, they have no idea of that side. And that side is critical because without that side giving the AOK, nothing closes, like zero, nothing. And a lot of folks get frustrated because this is the part where a lot of the skeletons come out of the closet, right? For that property. It's like, this property has liens. And I'm like, it hasn't been, like fully paid, whether it's a second lien on a second mortgage and stuff like that. And all those things, you show it. You're like, here you go. I'm like, in order to close, this is what needs to happen from the seller. And here what's agreed upon both sides. And then here's the final product in that scenario. So that's cool that you both kind of found your niche, but then at the same time, you helped her kind of get started with this because the title side is really cool. So one of the things we focus on this podcast is customer relationships, customer management, and we pride ourselves in being overly communicative and being available and accessible. But I see both of you do the same thing in this field. So like, tell me a little bit about how that differs for you on a day-to-day. So when a client comes in, like, what do you provide that goes above and beyond compared to like a competitor, for example? Like, why would they come to both of you?
So on the title side, first of all, I just, like we talked before, most of the home buyers didn't even know that there's a title process involved in the process of buying a property. So, and it's really important because that can make a difference whether you get the house that you want or not. So for me, there's a lot of like tedious processes when there's a lien, when there's a permit open, where there's a code enforcement, and there's a lot of paperwork that you have to submit, get back and forth with the city. We all know that it's not easy to deal with county or government
it's tough.
entities.
Offices,
And so I'm not a title company that just be like, okay, this is what came up in the title.
Figure it out.
You have to
You give them
figure it
solutions.
out.
You give them solutions.
Yes.
Yep.
Because I've been in the industry, I know that there's a lot of programs. There's properties that have liens for the last 20 years, and
crazy.
paying them out, it's even more expensive than what the house costs.
It's worth it.
Jesus.
Yes. So basically, I just try to walk them through. Look, this program who can take the debt down to 50%. We can do this. We can work this out. Let's go to the city. I just try to go like
A little bit more above and beyond.
so for them to make, because we're in the industry that when you deal with first-time home buyers, sometimes there's people that has been saving for making this investment
for
their
years.
entire lives.
Yeah, it's a very emotional based decision as well.
So for them to trust you where they're putting their life savings into, it's kind of a big deal. So we want to make them feel like, hey, you can trust us.
Yeah.
You're making the right decision. It's not just buy your house because everybody should own a house in this country. No, it's just like you're making the right decision, and we're going to make sure that you feel like that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, no, I agree. I think, and you, like I told you, when someone's buying that first property, like their anxiety is up here, right? And then when they meet, folks like you, they feel like, all right, I can understand a little bit more. They probably still don't know anything, but you bringing that temperature down gives them an opportunity to be a little bit more open-minded for those recommendations. Because any other, like I'm telling you, and I told you right before we came on that like I bought a property in Jersey, it had so much liens and stuff that like happened 200 years ago, literally 200 years ago. And I was just like, what did they expect me to do? They gave me a list. I'm like, here are the stuff, go to the county. I mean, like, where is the county office? I'm like, I live in Manhattan in New York, and I'm buying a house in Jersey City. And they're like, go to the county. I'm like, Googling the county, but it's like Hudson County, but then Jersey City had its own municipality. So they have I'm like, so do I go to Hudson? Do I go here? And the guy's like, just go to the county. I mean, like, I need to find a new title company because I'm lost and I'm a smart person.
And if you found the county, the person that you get to talk to tells you, no, you have to go to this department, and then you go to that department. Oh no, but you have to go to this department.
Exactly.
And then it's like
Eso un arroz con mango. Like it's exactly what happens.
Playing ping pong.
Exactly. And then the problem is that like your client is the one that's like from here to here, and then what ends up happening? They say, "I'm not going to buy the property. I'm gonna go find something else." And then you've done all this work for nothing, right? So, but that's why you don't let it get to that point, which is good. In
the finance side, is a little different because a lot of people know that they have to get pre-qualified. And there are a lot of options out there. A lot of people doing mortgage out there. Yeah. But I think that what made people come to us and stay with us and even get referral from those clients is the system that we have created. I think that we have a well-structured system.
Yeah.
Like we have someone for each part of the process, and we have turn times that that we always meet, and that's what kind of made people feel like confident in going with us to do the whole process.
And Dee talks about this a lot, Dee, like SOPs, which is like standard operating procedures, which are the processes you're talking about. But you've kind of taken those and actually made them individual touch points for the customer. Like I call them customer journeys. So like from the moment they come to you, you get them pre-approved to now they found the property. Now there's a complete different process of like, all right, this is a property they want. That's, the realtor gets an offer out, it gets accepted. Now both of you are kind of like lit up.
And having trustworthiness in all of those parameters, right?
And
because
communication, right?
Let's say they have a client that comes in that has a score of X and they need a score of Y. They already know now what kind of client. They also probably know how my temperament and the way like my style is too. And it's just the communication style is one thing, but the efficiency is there. So like obviously you guys know I don't really play around a lot. Like when it comes to like whatever needs to be done, I don't give price breaks because I already know that the quality is there. And I'm at a point right now in my career where I look at things, whatever a person's telling me, whatever that dialogue is, I'm looking at the matrix in terms of the numbers, right? Like, don't ask me as an example for a price break on this when your score is going to increase 140 points, which is going to result in you paying $400 less a month on a mortgage for 30 years and save you possibly $150,000, $200,000, right? So, and it allows your family to get into a home. So that type of engagement and that complete transparency and having the assertiveness, for me, it puts the client in a position where like, all right, cool, we found the right person, cool. And putting them in a place where like they feel comfortable to continue engaging in making money, in taking care of their family, because they already did the hard work. They saved their money for years. They already went and got pre-approved, or they were told that they have to get to a certain point. So now that we're there, let's maintain what you guys have maintained up until now, which is the consistency and the discipline. And I think when those things come together, we're in a place where like people are having monumental changes or reaching huge milestones of their life in getting a property, because not everybody's an entrepreneur. Not everybody's going to go ahead and go out of their way and go work for a year for someone for free, or get a career change off of a piece of advice from a family member, because not everybody's built like that, to be frank. There are people that have standard operating hours, 9 to 5, this, that, and the other. And people that have those jobs, a lot of them make more money than all of us, right? So it's not a matter of to do this or to that, but those type of people live a very specific way, and that home is an investment into their future, for their lineage, for their kids, for their family members. So I think it's really cool, and it's a very harmonious kind of song and dance when you get a client and we're able to assist them to get from here to get over there. So it's been cool so far. And also for people that don't know, like a lot of their clients are Spanish speaking, and for those of you that have asked me on the side, like I completely speak Spanish. Like I can sell business funding in Spanish, credit repair in Spanish.
True, yeah.
I do it on the Loom
He
video.
does it all in Spanish.
And I don't have any shame whatsoever. So there's two testaments right here that can say that. So and all of that even the Spanish thing, even if it is funny, I'm trying, and that's all you can do. Like just try your hardest, care every single day, come to the office every day, be honest with clients, like, and shit's just gonna happen. And that's the reason why like we're very blessed. We don't pay for ads. We don't run any ads my phone doesn't stop. Like I'm like this every single day because our phones are blowing up in a good way, because I'll take the 5 extra minutes to ask someone how their day is going. I've called you before. Hey, what's up? Oh, did you need something? No, they're just checking on you. Yeah. Have I done that or not?
Yeah. 100%.
And it's like you can't quantify that. You can't put that on a stat sheet saying this, because those are the X factors that, like when he asked you guys, separate us from like a traditional credit repair or business funding or whatever other title that comes along with us. We're here to just help people connect the dots. And we try to have our hands in as many pots and know as many people as possible by operating in good faith and executing with the people so that we can have those relationships. Because at the end of the day, let's say a client applies for someone and they get a $2,000 limit. Just by Chris pressing a button and sending an email or a text or a WhatsApp to a BRM, that'll get approved to $40,000. Yeah. And it's just because of those relationships that we've built over time. It's happened twice
this week.
Yeah, this week.
Like, and I tell people all the time, and it's the same thing on the mortgage side, is like you will get the output based on what you do, right? If you go to an expert, you're going to help me find the best rate, right? Yes, may you find a better rate at a small credit union that you've been banking and your parents have been banking for 30 years? Maybe, but it's still only going to be part of the process. You will help the entire process.
Exactly.
So like finding the best rate and making sure that makes sense for the entire process are two different things. And I tell people all the time, like I can go to buy a car today and at Mercedes, and Mercedes is going to give me Mercedes rate, right? Yeah, I can go to my Navy Fed and get like probably like 1% off, but then I'm going to have to go there, like get pre-approved, get the approval letter, then go back to Mercedes. The car's gone. Now I'm going to be, you get me? Like, it's like all of it is how easy is the entire process versus like how many steps
even if you have to pay more.
Even
if you have to pay more.
Yeah.
Because Navy Federal, like you said, they'll give you a lesser rate, but like sometimes the convenience is just worth it.
Yeah.
It really is.
And it changes the relationship
that happens to us a lot, you know? Like we get a lot of clients that come from Bank of America, and all those big commercial banks, and they're like, okay, but they giving me a better rate. I'm like, okay, that's okay. But when you want to talk on weekends, who answer the phone?
Yeah.
Us, right?
Exactly.
So, you know, at the end of the day, they just say, you know what? I understand, like, it's like a minimum, it's like a little piece of the
Bigger
whole,
pie,
the whole.
But it's an important piece because you take that off, the whole thing collapses.
Yeah.
No, and we understand people that are looking for that. If you're looking for the better rate, that's it.
Exactly. And that's
You
what we
have
tell
options.
people.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
This is what we
If
provide.
if you're only buying a house looking at the rate, we're not the people to go to.
And you see, I respect that. And I'm like, because I think a lot of folks have this misconception, and I get it. The rates are high, but it's because everybody's living in this bubble of the
COVID.
5 years
COVID.
ago, yeah.
And I'm like, yes, the cost of
Time
living
to
is
wake up.
the cost of living is higher and all that stuff. But I'm like, people are still selling houses every day, and the houses are gone within a week, right?
over
Like,
fist.
yes, it wasn't like during COVID. It was like a minute, it posts, it's gone. I'm like, yeah. But I'm like, a lot of folks are moving, but now it's like back to like normal state, which is still a lot of houses being moved every day. So that's the type of stuff. Like if you're buying for the rate, then you're not making that investment based on what you need, which is a house. You're making that investment on like, am I going to get my return in 5 years? I'm like, this is not a 5-year flip. This is you're buying this property. If it's an investment property, get someone to rent it, make sure that the price is accurate, and you make some every month. You have enough saved to, for property management if you need that. And then everything else should pay itself off. That's what an investment property is. It's not like I'm going to get this house, I'm going to rent it, I'm going to make all my money back 100% of the house value in 3 years. Buy low income housing then. Figure it out. In that scenario.
No, and the funny thing is that people always say, "Oh, but during COVID, we could get like a 3%, 2%." Okay, I understand, but you had to put a lot of money above a price value.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you were, at the end of the day, you were paying the rate ahead of time.
Yeah. Straight cash out of your savings.
So
you see, I'm like,
Yeah, the
I
bank
never
has
thought
the money
about
on their
it that
side.
way.
The bank has the money on their side already. Of course, they're going to lower the rate.
yeah. But even then, I never thought about it that way because we knew a lot of folks during COVID that were like, I bought this house, but I paid $100,000 over.
Exactly.
And you have to pay that cash to the buyer, not the bank.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So like you're gone 100,000, and then you still have to do 40,000 for the bank loan. I'm like, damn, bro! Like you literally just paid 140 grand to buy
and you're in
a
between
property.
you're in
So
between
you
a
already
rock.
bought the
rate.
future. You already
Yeah.
bought the future growth value of the home. You paid it in advance.
Yeah, and
you're
you have
already
all that
paid for the
equity, and then like if the rates are high, but then you're locked in a low rate, and you're like bragging that you have all this equity, like, well, what can you really do with it?
Exactly.
Because if you sell the property and you try to get into another one, then you're gonna be complaining that the rate is not where you want it to be at. So it's like, honestly, just get over it, man. Just like get over it. Do what needs to be done because that's all there is.
Yeah.
Two things: either you did it or you didn't do it. And that's honestly what it comes down to. And probably most times, the thinking, the overthinking, the lamenting, the playing the mental movies and just the old tapes, that's kind of what gets people further away from the destination than actually just doing it. Because at the end of the day, like, you don't really know what's next. Like, you could lose your job the next day, and who gives a shit about the rate?
Yeah.
You could have a death and the reason why I'm saying these things is because I see this every day, because I look at a credit report, and then for those of you that are watching, I'm looking at a set of numbers, but I'm also compounding the client's emotional state. I'm taking into consideration how they got here, the trajectory of where they're looking to go. So all of those factors are just as important as what's going on right now. So taking that into consideration, everything is always going to be a risk at the end of the day. So it's calculated risks, due diligences, and just pulling the trigger or not pulling it. And then that gets people into a position where it's like, you blink your eyes, you had a property 3 years ago, now you have 3, you're looking to get 2 more this year, and it's compounding incremental things that you're doing better at. So,
And from your clients, and now we're going a little bit more specific. From your clients, are you seeing a lot more interest now in 2025 to like get investment properties? I'm always interested to understand like what you're seeing. Is it still a lot of first-time home buyers, or is it now becoming a healthy mix of like, folks looking to get investment properties now that like there's new administration, there's new energy and stuff like that? Would just love to pick your brain if you're seeing something like that shift right now.
well, I started during COVID.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's been
yes. So when I started, it was crazy. Everybody was buying. All investors were getting properties and this and that. So it was like the pipeline was huge. Like we have a lot of people refinancing, buying in general. So now, of course, you see the difference.
Yeah.
There are not as many people buying right now. And a lot of investors have retired, they're waiting for to see what happens with the market. And of course, we see the difference. It's not the same.
Got it.
But there's still people buying. You still need a home to live,
Yeah.
You're still paying rent, rents go up. Like the landlord tells you have to leave tomorrow. So there are people that need to buy, So you're always going to need a home.
Got it.
So that's not going to stop.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's it's one of those future proof. Obviously, it's a roller coaster, right? Like there's a lot of ups, there's downs, but I'm like, I think consistency, if you look at it linearly, it's probably the same level of like where it was before COVID in that setup. And I did look at the data and I saw it. But all right, so tell me, if you're a first time home buyer, like what are, and this is not me asking you for a recommendation because I know rates are constantly change and every day, we're seeing some improvement on those rates, but like, what should they be looking out for removing the rates from the conversation? Like, should they be, what are they prepared for? Should they be making sure that they're filing their taxes, that they have 2 years of tax returns or one? Like, talk to me a little bit about that because you see it through that lens of the pre-approval process, which for anybody watching, if you don't have a pre-approval, don't go see a house, period.
Exactly.
Like there are realtors now, like before
it.
you could, like before COVID, realtors were like, because we saw a stat, what was it, like 2 days ago, that said that there are more realtors than houses sold in the United States. Like, so that means there's so many people out there that, I'm like, anybody you throw a stone, you hit 7 realtors. But with that same statement, what that means is that these folks are being very picky about like who they show homes to, because you have a lot of folks who just like to window shop. And this is one of those things that it's an hour, they have to drive to the place, get keys, all that stuff. So when you look at a potential client, like what would you recommend to someone who's looking to buy a home in the next 12 months? Like what do they have to prepare for? What do they need? Like at least to get pre-approved.
Yeah, so I always say that the 3 things that we look at, like most importantly, is credit, assets, and income, right?
Okay.
But I always say that you should get started with credit. Yeah, because it's the factor that takes the longest to improve, to fix, and to get ready to end up buying a property.
Got it.
So so if you think that your credit needs to be improved, that it needs some work, this is the time to start working on that. And then assets, you can always borrow money from a relative as a gift, or we can figure it out. Income, we can also get a cosigner to help him increase the income to get pre-qualified for a little bit more. But credit is something that is your credit.
Yeah.
Nobody can come and save you.
It. Yeah, exactly.
You have to have the credit, and this is something that we need to take care of it like as soon as possible.
Gotcha.
So you're ready when you're ready to buy, you have your credit in good standings.
And then assets, like I've always, when I've learned and bought my properties over the last like 10 years, I had no idea about like certain big banks and certain banks like require those assets to be seasoned for 6 months. Like, it's like, if I'm going to go buy a property, it's like the down payment I'm going to use, that money can't just appear yesterday, right? Because they want to know like where it came from to make sure that it's actual, like you can actually make that kind of money to be paying the mortgage every month. But there are ways around it. If like your parents gift you something, say you get married and like everybody did a lluvia de sobres, right? And then all of a sudden you use that to put a down payment in like 6 months.
Yeah, we can always ask for seller's credit.
Yeah.
And there is also a DPA program that helps you with a down payment.
Cool.
So there are options, there we can,
which I don't even know about that. So that's cool.
Yes. So there are options, and again, credit is the only thing that you need to fix like right away. So when you're ready to buy, your credit is good to go.
Got it. So credit, assets, income.
Yeah.
Do you
I wish it was a better acronym.
Do you know anyone that you would recommend for credit?
My team.
Nah, but
I didn't even know you do that.
But and look, I think ultimately, for folks, this is like we said in the beginning of the podcast, like this is the hardest probably financial decision anybody can make, is purchasing a property, and specifically first-time home buyers. But when you meet folks like both of you, it kind of makes it easier to make that financial decision. But you're honest with your clients too, right?
Yes,
You tell them like,
100%.
look, based on this, like, please don't look for a house that's above 4,500. Let's just say that let's just use that number to round this specific part of the conversation. It's like, because I've seen mortgage brokers and mortgage lenders that are forcing like specific value. Like, oh, my client wants this house. I'm going to figure it out through hell or high water. I'm going to make them get this house because that's what they want. I'm like, and then they're like this. And then what they don't realize, and I told Dimitri this, is like, you start at 4,500 when you sign. The next year when they reassess the house at the sold value, that is now $350,000 more than it was 15 years ago when it was originally sold. All of a sudden that 4,500 is like $7,000 because your taxes go up and all these things. And I try to tell folks, I'm like, yeah, you see it on the like the disclosure, whatever statement, but you don't really see it until like you get the bill and you're like, oh my God. And that's why I tell people all the time, but I'm like, you tend to have those conversations with clients and make them comfortable.
100%. Yes, we educate the client from the very beginning. And taxes is a big thing. Yeah. Because I've seen people going to Lilanne, going to those properties that with the lowest interest rate, the lowest monthly payment, and it's not true. Yeah. Because 1 year from now, your monthly payment is gonna go up by a lot, and I've seen it. Yeah. And I've seen people struggling because of that.
It's a big, my 1,800. Like I saw a Lilanne home purchase in like right outside Orlando. So like, it's not even in Miami. And this person reached out to a cousin of mine who like they asked me for my advice. And I'm like, they bought the house, 0% interest. Lilanne paid the 5% of the down, right? Whatever the down was. And their monthly mortgage this year, because they bought it last April, went up $2,700 just on taxes because the property is brand new land and it was just assessed at the sold value. But then what ends up happening is that they accelerated the tax from the previous year to, I was like, how, I'm like, this person now has an $8,000 mortgage, they can't pay it.
100%.
And then it's like, and then I tell folks all the time, like, you have to discuss with the mortgage broker and the lender, I'm like, what would be the highest like exposure I have, so that like you understand, like, can I afford this?
We were talking about it the other day because
sometimes I understand that that's a question that you don't ask when you're buying a home because you don't know the process, you don't know what taxes are, you don't know anything. So that's why you need to call the right people. You need to get in contact with the person that is gonna walk you throughout the entire process and is gonna give you all the little details that you need to know. So that doesn't happen to you in the future. Like, you're not surprised in the future. Oh my God, my monthly payment went up, So.
And you were saying, baby?
No, and the good thing about these people like Lily and Jose Carlos, they just keep it real.
Yeah. Which is
100%. They keep it real, and they don't like setting high expectations, and because they don't do anything like, oh, your scenario is gonna be this, and then a year later you're calling back and saying like, you lied to me. Yeah. And now what am I gonna do with this house? And we deal with a lot of, like we said before, first-time home buyers that they have like 2-3 jobs and they've been saving for years. Yeah. And then we don't do anything like getting them like, oh, this is your dream house. Yeah. And then a year later, they're like, I can't afford my dream house. Yeah. Because we're not, we're not just cutting checks.
Yeah,
we're
exactly.
Just actually,
Well, these are clients of yours now, right? Like after they buy the property, guess what's going to happen? They may potentially need to refinance in the future.
Those are future
or
clients.
They need a HELOC on that property. Who are they going to go to? You guys.
Another family member.
They're going to go to both of you, right? They're going to either reach out to you, be like, hey, I'm thinking about a HELOC, blah, blah, blah. And then you'll be like, okay, let's talk to Lily. But they won't do that if they feel like you lied to them. You get me? And I tell people all the time, like, if you're overly communicative and you're transparent, that client becomes 10 clients because that person's going to tell their tía, their primo, el hermano, el amigo that you are the best place to go because everything is easy and you're honest and there were no surprises 12 months from now. And I feel like that is the difference. And I'm like, I'm going to say it, and I didn't say in the beginning, but for folks watching this, we're going to plug their Instagrams and the link to their site so that you can reach out to them if you have any questions. Even if it's like a question about like, what should I be doing? Is this the right time? Because my credit's like whatever. And I'm like, just reach out to them, because I think ultimately a consultation is worth more than you trying to Google something and get fake AI based responses that are not accurate based on the market that you're buying in. And I'm like, I tell people this all the time. We have clients who call. It's like, oh, I'm like, I see that I can buy a house in Miami, you know, and it with like 600 credit. I mean, you can. Do you want to pay like 18% on a mortgage?
The thing is, being matter of fact in business, in whatever the career is, I think it's so crucial. And like, we've had brief conversations, probably once or twice, that sometimes you're like too matter of fact. Like, because sometimes obviously we're dealing with utilization and hard inquiries and this, and it's like sometimes we just joke around a lot, but like we appreciate that, because there's a lot of clients that come to us and they're like, oh, this, that, and the other. I'm like, look, I don't care what you've read about credit. I don't care what you've seen on Google or what you've seen on TikTok or whatever. Like, and sometimes I'll be like, look, I've literally made my company millions of dollars over the years in this industry. You don't know more than this than I do. And if you do, go, then do it yourself, because you're killing my time. Yeah. We only have 24 hours in the day. 8 of it is in the office, or 10 of it, let's say, or whatever. You need a few hours to decompress or whatever. And then you got to run it right back the next day. So it's just like time, at least for me at this stage of my life, is just so crucial. And being able to weed out clients that, like, sometimes, in my opinion, are just kind of just fishing for information. They're just fishing, because you guys have seen it, especially in Miami, where a lot of people just talk. I just comes in, boom, 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 this is what needs to be done. And then from that point forward, either in Spanish, somos or no somos. Either we're going to do it or we're not going to do it. So I think that type of like engagement and understanding that line between business, because the friendship and the ha and he's in the conversations can sometimes cross over that line where like the matter of fact might not even matter anymore. So if you're matter of fact from the beginning and you draw the line in the sand, like for instance, a client today, he needed to remove some hard inquiries. I had quoted him, whatever I quoted him back in November. He hits me up today. Hey, I'm ready. Can you do a price break? And I said to him, I go, with all due respect, why would I do that? This is my time. This is my expertise. I'm going to get you to read to get to. And he understood it. And that from that point forward, that's the line. There needs to be certain respect, because you need to hold me in a high regard the same way I hold you as a client in a high regard. You call me, I'm picking up the phone. I don't fuck around. You guys know, you call me, I'm picking up, or I'm texting you right back, or hey, whatever. So my time needs to be appreciated as much as the client's time as well. So when those things all come together, it really is dope. And then you stop for a second. You're like, damn, this month we had a pretty good month. We were able to close this, that, and the other. So, yeah.
Well, look, we always end every podcast with like rapid fire questions. So I do this to every guest. So, and this is going to be great because it's going to be you both individually.
Yeah, now you should get nervous.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask, and then she'll answer, and then you answer. Okay. No. But son cosas que son simples. So like the first question, if you're good, the first question is, what's your go-to productivity hack? So what do you do to decompress or focus before you start your day? Gym, could be running, could be playing video games. What do you do, Lily?
Wake up before anyone.
Yeah. What time do you get up?
5 a.m.
Oh, nice. What time do you go to sleep?
Like 10, sometimes later, sometimes earlier.
Okay, yeah. So you're like me. Like I don't need a lot of sleep. So like I wake up early too. Yeah. How about you, Beatriz? What do you?
Question.
Gym? Do you like watching?
I go dancing every weekend.
There we go.
Nice.
Salsa?
Lo que sea.
Lo que sea. Bueno, there you go. Okay. So keeping with the trend of the misconceptions, what's the biggest misconception about buying a house, like that people have?
I would say they don't know the process.
Perfect. And in your case, we already kind of touched this. They don't even know that there's a title.
They don't even know that there's a title process.
Yeah, you don't even know you're about to have a mission.
They don't even know that she exists.
Yeah. But you know what's crazy with the title thing is that like when you buy a car, there's a title process. Mm-hmm. When you do a lot of things, but then people are like, oh, when you buy a home, like what is this title process? I'm like, are you kidding me? It's the biggest title that can exist besides buying a building in the middle of New York City.
And we're not even talking about title. They don't even know they buy an insurance.
Exactly.
For their title. They paying it.
Yeah.
And they don't even know that they're paying it. They have it.
Title insurance.
Which is crazy. And then what's we kind of answered this, but I want to hear it again so everybody can hear it. What's one thing every home buyer should do before applying for a loan?
Call me.
Love it. And what's the best investment either of you have made to yourself in the last year?
My psychologist, my leg workout.
You did?
My psicólogo.
Okay.
I pass it on to her.
There you go.
So now she's proud of me.
I mean, look, I'm like, keeping yourself mentally centered is always important.
No, yeah, and you have to be able to vent. Like I empty the clip every day with Chris and Alex. Like
I'm a psychologist.
Boom, 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 boom.
No, I love psychologists. But no, honestly, I think the best investment, and we didn't make it on purpose, is just like, I don't know, like everything came up together, and it's just the team that we work with.
Yeah.
Es una vibra, una energía.
From ustedes, like Jose Carlos, like everybody.
Yeah.
Like everybody, it's just so like on the same page.
Yes.
And we're so grateful for that.
Yeah, and look, that's, I think ultimately what makes a good unit is that you feel really well when you work with each other. Todo el mundo está, like, I always say this. No sé if you guys have seen in the Olympics the rowing. Mm-hmm. There's no harder sport than rowing because each individual is in synchrony. Mm-hmm. If one is off, the whole row goes in a completely different direction. Yeah. So I actually met and I invited a guest speaker once at a company I worked at that was a U.S. Olympian in London. He won a gold medal. And this guy, when I tell you, his legs were like this, but his words were like the team. Like you lived and breathed the team because the person in the front had a responsibility. The person on the back steers. So they tell everybody, go. They don't do anything, but make sure that everybody is rowing in synchrony. And that's what you feel with one another and your team. It's just, it's a vibe. It's una vibra que everybody needs to feel when they're working with one another. But I'm glad that you guys feel that way and that everything's going really well. So a lot of valuable insight in today's podcast. I appreciate you both for coming. And for those watching, again, I'm going to link both of their socials, the business socials. Please give them a like and follow. Also comment on this when you get it. And we'll see you on the next one. And we appreciate, again, Lilianne and Betty for coming on. And our next episode, we're going to have another special guest. So we're really excited. So remember, first time watching, hit the follow and like button and share away. Have a good one.